Thank you so much, Jennifer, and thanks, and good morning, everyone. My name is Maria Evans. I am the Vice President of Community Impact at Fannie Mae. It's a real pleasure to be here with you all. I want to also just say thank you so much for the very nice welcome that you all have given us into this community. We really appreciate it. I'm so excited to be here at the After the Fire Leadership Summit. It is 2 years in the making, and so it's really exciting to finally be here. And I really enjoyed yesterday's speakers, and so really looking forward to the rest of this summit over the next day and a half. I think this has been a really incredible opportunity thus far to reflect, to come together, to share what's working in our local communities as we think about how to collaborate to mitigate the threat of wildfires. So for some of you, it may not be intuitive why Fannie Mae is a sponsor of the summit, why we have, perfect.
I don't want anybody to miss a thing.
Okay, thank you. Why we are interested in wildfires and other natural disasters, but these are issues that are of deep importance and concern to Fannie Mae. We are part of the secondary mortgage market. We are a secondary mortgage market provider. Our mission is to support affordable housing and help make home ownership more accessible to more people across the country. We were actually chartered in 1938, and we were chartered to provide reliable source of liquidity for affordable mortgage financing, which has enabled people over the last 85 years to achieve the dream of home ownership. And today, I would say our mission continues as we work to facilitate equitable and sustainable access to home ownership and quality affordable rental across the U.S., especially for low and moderate income borrowers and renters. And by extension, we are interested and invested in the communities in which they live. And for our team in particular, the Disaster Response and Rebuild team, that means we are really focusing on communities that have been impacted by natural disaster. And I want to take just a moment to recognize the Disaster Response and Rebuild team. Two of the members of the team are here with us today. Tim Carpenter, who's in the back. We often call Tim Mr. Disaster. He is all things disaster, and Sidra Goldwater in the center. Sidra is our expert on all things related to policy. You'll hear from both of them a little bit later in the conference. But I also wanted to acknowledge two team members who are not with us today. Claire Guerrero, who is enjoying some time away from work right now, and Elvin Lauren Torres, who is holding down things for us and has been monitoring Hurricane Fiona and the impact that it has had on Puerto Rico, and doing something which is vitally important, which is advocating that the outreach that Fannie Mae does to the island is culturally appropriate. A term that I learned yesterday and picked up yesterday was around language justice. And so I'm really excited to have the opportunity to work with the team. If you haven't met them, if you haven't had a chance to work with them, they're just good people, and it's my pleasure to work with them every day. So the theme for today is rebuilding. And back in January of 2018, when members of Fannie Mae's newly formed Disaster Response and Rebuild team made its first visit to Sonoma County, that was of course following the Tubbs fire, most people really hadn't seen a loss like that before. The fire impacted,
I'm sorry, Maria.
No problem. The fire impacted 2 counties, burned over 5,600 structures, killing 22 people, and burned for a number of days. We good? Okay. And in many ways, it ushered in this new era of megafires. And I would say at Fannie Mae, the visit solidified it, made very clear for us that we needed to do more to help communities as they recover and rebuild, and that by doing so, we were actually fulfilling our mission. And so based on the work that we had done in other areas, what we found, and we tried to bring that knowledge to this work, was we found that nonprofits and organizations working in the communities were among the best positioned to provide direct, impactful access. I think we saw that with all of the speakers yesterday. They are able to reach homeowners and renters most directly. They also understand local issues. They're able to identify opportunities as well as challenges. And during that first visit to Sonoma County in 2018, that's when we first were connected with After the Fire, then Rebuild North Bay. And we also had a chance to meet with homeowners in Coffey Park. And we learned a really important lesson that having a plan to rebuild and not immediately paying off your mortgage, that was really critical in one's ability to rebuild. And I would say that many people attribute the fact that 90%, I think we heard yesterday, almost 95% of Sonoma has been rebuilt in just over 4 years. We attribute it to following that advice. And that visit was the beginning of a lot of learning and a great partnership with you, Jennifer. And so we're really grateful to you and grateful to be here because it's also been through that partnership that we've been able to expand our outreach and connect with other communities that have been affected by fire and begin to work with local organizations in those communities. One great example is the work that we've done with Rebuild Paradise Foundation. 13 months after the Tubbs fire, the Camp Fire happened in Paradise. And after the fire, connected Fannie Mae with local leaders in Paradise, as well as the Rebuild Paradise Foundation, which is an organization that has been critical to the rebuild efforts in Paradise. If you're not familiar with them, they provide a variety of resources that really help community members navigate and make good choices that are best for them. They also offer tools and resources that help make the rebuilding process more efficient and affordable. And they also manage a grant funding through their Missing Middle grant, which helps defray pre-construction costs such as surveys, engineering costs, water-related expenses. So really wonderful organization. And we've had the pleasure of doing a number of projects with Rebuild Paradise that Fannie Mae has been able to support over the last few years. There are a couple that we're particularly proud of, one of which is the building plan library. I would say of all the projects, this is probably one of my favorites. It's essentially a library, a repository of pre-approved floor plans that are free and can be used by anyone who's building in the Camp Fire footprint. And this ready resource, why I like it so much is that it can save a homeowner up to about $7,500 as they're rebuilding. It also, because all the plans are pre-approved, it saves them 6 to 12 months of time. Not to mention reduces all the stress, the anxiety, the burden of trying to design a home from scratch. So I really love this project, and to date, over 100 homes have been permitted using the building library. And just to be clear, this very smart idea, this very cool idea that I love was Rebuild Paradise's idea. Fannie Mae was just happy to be part of helping to support it and bring it to life. The other project that we really like to talk a lot about is the septic mapping project. I did not know this before this project started, but one of Paradise's unique challenges is that they are the largest town west of the Mississippi that uses septic systems. And in order to rebuild, a homeowner needs to know what's the septic capacity. So to determine how many bedrooms, bathrooms they can build. And all of this information is available in paper records at the town hall. So anytime there's an inquiry, that information has to be pulled manually. And so there is a process, but it's kind of a lengthy process. So understanding the needs of the town, the disaster response and rebuild team took that information back to Fannie Mae, connected with another team at the company, the Community Investment and Engagement team, which leads all of our employee volunteerism, employee giving programs, and together with Rebuild Paradise Foundation, designed a project that we could implement to convert all of those files. And so then we were able to enlist some of our colleagues from across Fannie Mae who ended up volunteering their time to convert all the records. And now, after about a year, the septic capacity information can be accessed via an interactive map on Rebuild Paradise's website, not just by residents though. Contractors, realtors, pretty much anyone can access this information, which is fantastic. Tim likes to say that this project made septic sexy. I don't know about that, but what I do know is that the project was a great opportunity for us to leverage one of Fannie Mae's superpowers, which is our people. Fannie Mae employees are mission first, they are mission focused, they are dedicated. When they say they're going to show up, they do. And they stuck with us for a year to get this project done, so it's been terrific. And it was also a great opportunity for our team to educate our colleagues and raise their awareness about the many hurdles communities face as they're working to rebuild post-disaster. One last thing I want to just mention, I'm really excited to announce that almost after a 3-year hiatus, we will be restarting our disaster rebuild deployments. These are deployments where Fannie Mae employees are able to go out into the community to support the rebuild effort directly by volunteering their time for up to a week. And so we will be restarting that program in just a few weeks when we head to the town of Paradise. So we're super excited. And that is a good lead-in for something that we find critically important, which is that in-person support. That's one of the most valuable and critical aspects of the work that we do, is actually visiting communities following a disaster. We feel that it shows not only our commitment to the community, but it also yields valuable intelligence that we're able to bring back to Fannie Mae that hopefully leads to other ways that we can support the community, like the septic mapping project I just mentioned. But like so many others, during the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic, we were grounded. We were not able to travel. And so we worked with Jennifer and After the Fire to find ways to reach fire-affected communities safely, so that we could still provide that human contact, that human interaction. So in late 2020, Fannie Mae supported After the Fire in renting an RV to visit fire-impacted communities across California and Oregon. And this effort not only helped Fannie Mae stay apprised of potential ways that we could assist, but Jennifer was also able to share some really critical resources with them, such as information on Fannie Mae's Disaster Response Network, which is our largest program directed toward recovery from disasters. And now the Disaster Response Network, or the DRN, which is supported by Money Management International, provides up to 18 months of free counseling with a HUD-approved housing counselor who works with both homeowners and renters to develop personalized action plans that can include working with their insurance company, working with FEMA, navigating the SBA loan process. And initially when the program was launched, we were thinking of it only for homeowners who had been impacted by natural disaster, but due to all of the hardship associated with COVID-19, we expanded the program to include all homeowners and renters experiencing any type of hardship. And to date, the DRN has fielded over 100,000 calls and has completed over 50,000 counseling sessions. Now, I think everyone at Fannie Mae would agree that After the Fire has helped us lean into the disaster space. They have been a great educator, catalyst, a force multiplier. I mean, I think of just all of the people, all of us here in the room over these 3 days would not have happened without After the Fire. And something else that I think Jennifer is really gifted at doing, it may seem small, but it's important for us. She always reminds us that with each wildfire, the issues, the perils, the timeline, they're all different. And why that's an important reminder for Fannie Mae is, given our size, given our national footprint, standardization is typically the way that we lean in. It is difficult for us to execute one-offs or variances You can ask Sidra and Shauna. They will tell you all about that tomorrow. But Jennifer's reminders really ground us that that's the reality. That's the way we have to approach this work in order for us to be effective. And I think the team has really taken that to heart. And we've been able to take our learnings, take those findings back to Fannie Mae, use that knowledge to inform our efforts, our policies, decisions, resources, new loan products, often pushing our own thinking, but also definitely pushing the thinking of our colleagues to help more communities as we possibly can. Now, earlier I mentioned the visit to Coffey Park and the important lesson about having a plan before making any decisions. And that information the team brought back completely changed the way the company messaged and communicated information to homeowners, really emphasizing that lesson of the importance of having a plan before making any decisions. So that's just one example of how those learnings have been able to transform and shape how we do our work. So when Fannie Mae initially entered the disaster space, we focused on long-term rebuilding efforts, which we still do, but we also are proponents of resilient building and other mitigation efforts. And that's why we've aligned with organizations who encourage and educate and promote affordable ways homeowners can fortify their homes against disaster. We've partnered with organizations like IBHS and Smart Home America to increase and promote the fortified building standards, especially in vulnerable communities. Probably many of you know that the fortified standards go beyond building codes to reinforce homes that are in parts of the homes that are susceptible to damage from wind-driven rain and high winds. And through their work, Smart Home America has been able to gather data and report that 95% of homes that were built to fortified standards withstood hurricanes Michael, Sally, Ida, and Dorian with minimal damage, and that it could save homeowners as much as 86% on their insurance premiums. Something else that we find really exciting and promising is that IBHS, with input from United policyholders, recently introduced a wildfire prepared home standard. Similar to their fortified standard, the wildfire prepared home standard seeks to reduce the risk of fire through mitigation actions focused on specific building features like home hardening and defensible space. And so that's a really exciting development. I would say one of the things that makes Fannie Mae unique, something that we're able to bring to the table, is the fact that we do have loan products and we also have policies that can be leveraged across the country. And so we continue to look for ways to think outside of the box to support disaster-affected communities and to work with local nonprofits. One of the most impactful lessons I think that we've learned is related to loan forbearance and how a homeowner is able to exit forbearance, which is a critical tool in part of the entire recovery process. Now, forbearance allows a homeowner to temporarily reduce or suspend mortgage payments for a period of time. And the reason that this can be such an important tool for the homeowner impacted by a wildfire or any other disaster is because it gives them the gift of time. Just time to take a breath, time to do some research, time to think about what's best for them, what they want and need to do next. But it's just a temporary solution. And so what we've learned and what we've taken back to Fannie Mae is that people need options when they're exiting forbearance. We heard very clearly that they need something other than just our 40-year loan modification. And so as a result, we've learned from not only past disasters, but also COVID-19, working with our regulator and conservator, FHFA, we introduced payment deferral, which moves past due payment amounts to the end of the loan term and immediately brings the loan current. The deferred amount is due when the homeowner pays off their loan. And this enables the homeowner to keep their current interest rate and their current loan terms, so nothing else changes. This program was initially introduced as part of our COVID-19 response, but has since been expanded to homeowners impacted by natural disaster. Another example of our test and learn approach is the work that we've done with Chipola Area Habitat in Marianna, Florida. That community has been rebuilding homes since they were hit by Hurricane Michael in 2018. Now, typically, Habitat relies on in-house financing for both the construction as well as the mortgage financing. Even though conventional financing has been available, that's just not typically the path that many of their clients have taken. So Fannie Mae worked with Chipola Area Habitat and one of our lenders, Regions Bank, to start to explore ways and areas that we could do more to help nonprofit housing providers and their clients understand how to utilize our products and take advantage of conventional financing. Because from our perspective, we do think there's a lot of benefit when that aspiring home buyer pursues or takes advantage of conventional financing. It enables them to build good credit. It's also a win for the nonprofit provider. They're able to utilize their limited resources in different ways and gives them a little bit more flexibility. So we do have a loan product called Home Ready. This is a conventional lending product that allows an affiliate to credit labor, not only from the homeowner, but any volunteers, even if you have students from your local community college who are involved in a workforce program focused on construction. All of their labor will count toward the equity of the home. And for the home in Marianna, Florida, that collective sweat equity was valued at approximately $30,000. And it was captured as a credit for the homeowner who was able to use it toward her down payment when she closed just a few weeks ago. And even though that product, Home Ready, has always allowed for sweat equity to be used, this was the first time we were actually leveraging for that feature for that purpose. And needless to say that utilizing sweat equity can greatly contribute to the home's affordability, especially in a disaster context where you have a little bit more volunteer labor that might be available, as well as other subsidies like CDBG-DR. Another nonprofit developer that we're working with to increase affordable housing supply is CHIP, and that are based in Chico. And we are currently working on a pilot with CHIP that will allow a nonprofit to be treated like a single-family borrower in disaster-impacted areas. Normally, Fannie Mae only purchases loans from natural persons. However, with this project, we are piloting lending to nonprofit organizations that agree to maintain the property for affordable rental. As you all know from your own experiences, after a disaster, the availability of affordable rental is often severely impacted, and lower income individuals find it very difficult to return to community because they may not have the financial resources. But with this pilot, Fannie Mae is in the process of selling 6 homes or lots from our real estate owned inventory to CHIP, and then CHIP will then use CDBG-DR funds and financing through this pilot to provide affordable rentals. And we're expecting to close the first of these loans later this year. And you'll be able to learn a little bit more about this project from Shauna and Sidra tomorrow when they discuss it on their panel. So it's been 5 years since we've entered this space, and so we wanted to take this time to just think about what we've learned. And we have learned a few important lessons along the way. The first one being, have a plan before you pay off. And while it might be attractive and kind of, even a little enticing for a homeowner to pay off their mortgage, it could be a lot more difficult for them to fulfill their rebuild dreams, especially given the interest rate environment that we're currently in. Second, when exiting forbearance, people need options, including payment deferral. The third is that we need to continue to help communities across the West connect with one another to share best practices around mitigation and rebuilding, but also just to share how they were doing. I don't know what your experience was yesterday, but yesterday for me was very emotional. I really heard in so many of the stories from the speakers the emotion of their own experience. And it was really amazing that after the fire created that space for people to be vulnerable, to share their stories. And so we need to continue doing things like that. The fourth thing I would say, stay creative, flexible, and for us at Fannie Mae, don't be afraid to fail. We will continue to test and learn, to try new things, to figure out what works in one community and then tweak it for another community. And then finally, keep learning. Back in 2018, I don't think any of us at Fannie Mae could have or would have imagined that the disaster response and rebuild team would have touched so many areas and embarked on so many different initiatives. But we've only been able to arrive at this point with all of you supporting us along the way. You have been so generous over the years, sharing your experiences, sharing your expertise, your knowledge, your networks. And for that collaboration, we're dearly grateful and appreciative. And we recognize that for many of you, you stepped into these leadership roles with very limited knowledge or thought about what is the path forward. But because of your passion, your drive to serve your community, to support your community, you've been able to do a lot of good and help so many people. And we hope to continue to be able to walk alongside you as you do so. And so on behalf of Fannie Mae and the Disaster Response and Rebuild team, thank you very much. I'd specifically like to thank just a few of our partners who are here with us today. Of course, Jennifer from After the Fire, Jackie Bowles from Money Management International, Valerie Brown from United Policyholders, Jen Goodland from Rebuild Paradise Foundation, Shauna O'Shaughnessy from CHIP, Alistair Watt from IBHS, Trey Bearden from Toolbank USA, and of course Steve McMahon from McMahon Solutions. Thank you all so much for welcoming us into your community, for partnering with us, for teaching us, and for letting us have that seat at the table. We do not take our mission and the work that we do lightly, and so we're very deeply grateful and appreciative. Thank you so much.